So this week we're covering form validation and enhancement using custom messaging. And this is the last unit that we need to cover. And this is split into a couple different sections. We have JavaScript validation and error handling and jQuery validation and error handling. Both of those are required. Then section 3 deals with JavaScript form element processing. And what I did is I have links to the JavaScript sections up here. And then above each JavaScript section is a description of the HTML, just in case you need a little refresher. The section that is in orange is the JavaScript information. So this is showing you how to process input elements, okay? How to retrieve from them and actually how to use the DOM commands to create them. And then at the bottom, there is a back to top button, so you can simply select each one of these, kind of read through there. This is something that you should be familiar with going into your MTA exam. And the first two sections we are going to be utilizing in the assignment. The last section is kind of optional. It just reviews DOM events and the event object. So if you come in here, this is totally optional, just a little review of what we covered in chapter 5. And you'll notice that we start with the event object, which all of the other events are derived from. And then we get into the different types of events. The first two sections, JavaScript validation, jQuery validation, you will be using information from these two sections in the assignment. So if we go into JavaScript validation, this is fairly short and to the point. It gets into what you actually need to do to the form to prepare it for the validation. And then the modifications and things that you need in your JavaScript file. Okay, and so it kind of goes through how to create the JavaScript file. And then there's an example of JavaScript down here. And up here is an example of a form. So this is JavaScript validation, and it's set up so that it keeps the data that's good and displays an error message if you forgot to fill something in. And there is some validation here for email address too. So if it's not a valid address, it should catch that. And then it'll reroute you. And to see the code, you just right click, view source. And then if you go into the JavaScript, you can see all of the validation here. Okay, and as far as an explanation of the code, there is a YouTube video that will show you and explain everything the code is doing. And then if we get into the jQuery validation, this is using a plugin called Validate. So there are some links here that will take you to that documentation. I created a couple examples for this. One of them is primarily text boxes, and then the other one has a variety of form elements in it. And this is a data list. We have a select here with options and checkboxes and radio buttons. Okay, but it kind of works the same way. Messaging in this plugin can be customized, and it's fairly interactive. So you are going to be learning how to use that plugin. And there is a video that kind of walks through how this is set up as well. And this, again, is a fairly short document. It kind of gets to the point and talks about what you need to have set up in the HTML, and then how you need to set up your jQuery file for this. Okay, and then there's the live examples. And once you are done with that, you're going to go into the programming assignment. And for this, I'm actually giving you pretty much all the files. You are going to be having to make some modifications to the web file, the HTML file, and you'll have to create the JavaScript or jQuery file, but everything else is pretty much given to you. So you're going to be downloading these files and saving them using the names that are specified. Both the jQuery and the JavaScript file are going to use the same confirmation page. They're going to be using the same CSS, and they're going to be using the same beach background. And this is kind of what they look like. Then exercise 2 has you open up the JavaScript one and basically set this up for JavaScript error handling. And the changes that you need to make here to your HTML, I have highlighted in yellow. Okay, so not a whole lot of changes. At the bottom of the page, you are going to have to add a script tag that points to your JavaScript file, and then you'll have to actually create that file. And this walks you through what you need to do to create that file. I have a link to a similar file. Okay, and you can pretty much follow the information here for first name and last name and email. Okay, and the instructions tell you that. For your data list, I am giving you some instructions there. You'll basically set that up like you set up first name and last name. Checkboxes are a little different, so I'm actually giving you an example of how you're going to set up the error handling for those. Okay, so that is the first exercise. The second exercise involves basically taking that same form and customizing it for the jQuery Validate plugin. So you're going to open up your jQuery file, kind of follow the directions, and it basically tells you exactly what you need to do. You're going to have to create a jQuery file that you're going to be linking to. And your file will be similar to the example. So first name, last name, email can be set up exactly like the example. Accommodations will be set up like password. If you look at the example, you'll see that here's password down here. We have password up here. So accommodations are going to be very similar. And seasons are going to be set up similar to how you did first name. Okay, so pretty straightforward exercises. I don't anticipate that you're going to have problems with these, but if you do, make sure you have them transferred to the web, and then I will take a look at them. And those are the only 2 assignments that you have to do this week. That should give you time to finish up the term project and work on your term project showcase. If you run into any problems or have questions, make sure you ask, and hope everybody has a great week.